Alrighty, hello and welcome back to another LSBA video. So today is Season 8, Week 5, and the battle today will be the Seattle Staraptors, my team, versus the Po Town Poipoles, who is coached by Rashe, which is one of the other content creators in the league. As always, in the description of the video, I will link both his channel as well as Jack's, the coach of the Wenatchee Wobbuffets. All three of us record videos and post them to YouTube for the league, so it's very exciting stuff. But yeah, so here is our Week 5 team. So we're coming off of a loss last week. We had a very close loss against Azoth and the Mauville Manetrix, coming down to that last couple turn misplay and a 1-0 loss. So we're going to try and bounce back from that this week, if at all possible. Let's see, my opponent and I's battle times in 15 minutes. I'm going to try and run through this pretty fast. So, once again, just to run through the team rosters for both teams, my opponent's team is, their roster rather, is Clefable, Hydreigon, Toxapex, Blissey, Skarmory, Quagsire, Buzzwole, Shedinja, Mega Charizard X, regular Ninetales, and Arcanine, and my roster is still Dragapult, Tapu Lele, Weavile, Mega Medicham, Galarian Zapdos, Ribombee, Nidoking, Incineroar, Azelf, Regieleki, and Milotic. So, one thing that you may notice, or may have picked up on rather, as I was reading through my opponent's team, is that my opponent has most of the best, walls and defensive Pokemon in the game. Especially in the front end of their draft, they have Clefables, their first round, then Toxapex round 3, Blissey, Skarmory, Quagsire. So, they just have a bunch of really super good top-tier walls, so... kind of our MO this week is just all-out wall-breaking offense. We'll see if it works out. I'm actually not sure if that'll be enough to get us through, but that's what we'll try this time. And if this doesn't work, we will have to reevaluate and try something else if we end up rematching in the playoffs. But so, first of all, our lead this week is Azelf, so we're going with a Stealth Rocks lead variant again this week. Notably, my opponent has a very weak to rock team, so Stealth Rocks are super important, I think. They have multiple fire types in Charizard, Ninetales, and Arcanine, and they also have Shedinja, which, I don't know if I really believe that he'll actually bring Shedinja or not, but if he does, then having Stealth Rocks up is nice, So we're going to try and get those up early if possible. And even if my opponent doesn't bring any of those rock-weak Pokemon, they're still nice just to chip this team. Against Pokemon that are this bulky, basically any amount of chip damage that you can get off on them helps my wall breakers break through the walls. Some of those things that aren't guaranteed OHKOs or most likely 2-hit KOs can sometimes become guaranteed if you do get a little bit of hazard damage chip. So we're gonna try and rely on that a little bit. Otherwise, we just have pretty much our typical lead Azelf set this week. We're opting for knockoff since my opponent is likely to have lots of pesky items. Taunt to prevent my opponent's defensive Pokemon from doing their defendy things. And then U-turn instead of explosion this week. My opponent has so many bulky Pokemon that exploding isn't really worthwhile, in my opinion. I guess the one thing that explosion is good for is it gets you one free switch in, because Azelf is faster than most of my opponent's team, so theoretically, that way, if I U-turn, whoever comes in will get hit with something. But we're rocking the leftovers this week too, and lots of HP investment. All of these factors combined are basically just because I want to keep Azelf kind of healthy throughout the match and not just explode it, so I can set up Stealth Rocks multiple times if need be, and also come in and taunt things, knock lots of things off. It's just very much a utility Pokemon, which is how I often run it, but this has a cocktail of features that are specific to this kind of matchup. So next we have our first choice banned Pokemon out of 2. Yes, we're running 2 banned Pokemon this week. We got Zapdos, Galarian form, with Thunder's Kick, U-turn, Close Combat, Brave Bird, very standard set, and I think this is actually the Smogon recommended set. I was going to initially run leftovers to try and heal off the Brave Bird recoil like I do a lot of the time, but I realized that against a team that's this bulky, I think we just need to come in and hit as hard as possible. I have a feeling that Defiant might come in clutch this week, because my opponent has several defoggers, but they don't have any rapid spinners. And so I'm assuming that they'll want to most likely keep hazards off their side of the field too. I guess if they bring their things that are weak to rock, that's definitely a determining factor, but we'll see if we can get hit with a defog to proc our Defiant again. Otherwise, standard set, Thunder's Kick if we want to just try and wear something down, U-turn for momentum, and dual stabs to hit things hard. Not much to say. I'll skip them on here and go over to my other choice bander. This was the last Pokemon that I added to the roster this time. I was originally looking at a Dragapult option, but I realized that Weavile, especially with Ice Shard, takes care of some potential threats like Scarf Hydreigon on the opposing team a little more effectively than the Dragapult set that I was running, and we'll get into that. But much like against my fight with Dylan a couple of weeks ago, though, I feel comfortable running Choice Band on Weavile this week just because a lot of his moves are very spammable against this team. Especially Triple Axle. Outside of like Toxapex, nothing really wants to take that too much. Super powerful knockoffs are nice. Ice Shard is a good countermeasure to his two faster offensive Pokemon, namely Hydreigon and Charizard if it gets the Dragon Dance off. And then Pursuit, I chose over Low Kick this week, mostly for Shedinja, but just, I don't know. The only other good option that Weavile really has is Low Kick, but Low Kick doesn't really do much for us this week. His only fighting weak Pokemon is Blissey, which Triple Axle does a similar amount of damage to, if not more. So yeah, we're just gonna go for Pursuit. I'm not necessarily anticipating clicking it, but it's there if we need it. Okay, taking a step back to Tapu Lele. We're taking back out this Tapu Lele that we actually removed, what was it, last week, I think? So we're gonna rock the Metronome again like we were going to last week. Psyshock, Moonblast for stabs, Nature's Madness, especially on a team this bulky, just being able to Super Fang something down to half HP is a nice option potentially, especially if my opponent like tries to send Blissey in or something. I can try and make a predict and nail them for half and then try and Psyshock for the kill. Then HP Fire is mostly being driven by Shedinja. I just don't want to be fully walled by Shedinja, but it's also a decent option for Skarmory, so that's our last coverage move here. Mega Medicham, again, similar set to what we've been running. High Jump Kick, Psycho Cut are my stabs of choice. Drain Punch, in case I don't need to risk a High Jump Kick for the damage, or in case my opponent protects and I need to heal off some damage. And then again, Fire Punch is being driven mostly by the Shedinja option on the opposing team. Maybe I'm over-preparing for Shedinja, because I'd be kind of surprised if it showed up, but, you know, you can't be too careful. It's very easy to beat as long as you don't under-prepare for it, so we're just making the right amount of preparations, I think. Again, the other thing too is that Fire's not the worst thing in the world. It hits Skarmory, technically. Buzzle as well, I didn't mention last time, but that's another thing. It just is what it is. Again, we're probably not going to click Fire Punch, but if Shedinja comes in somehow, then we'll be ready for it. And last but not least, we have kind of an interesting Nidoking set this week. We're gonna run Substitute to try and like bait a Blissey switch potentially, because the thing here is that Nidoking doesn't need its Poison Stab this week so much. It's only super effective against Clefable, and it's like resisted by several other things, or in most scenarios Earth Power hits just as hard, give or take. Flamethrowers again are coverage of choice to hit some of the fire weak things like Skarmory, Buzzle, and Shedinja, and so we don't really need a third special stab that much. So we're packing Superpower on kind of a pseudo mix set this week, just because it more often than not will two-hit KO Blissey, and that's even max defense Blissey. As long as my opponent doesn't have Reflect Up or something, we should be good on that front. We're packing that. It does decent damage to Hydreigon too. I don't know the calc off the top of my head, but it does pretty good damage. And then Substitute is just if we get into a position where we're sitting in front of like a weakened Toxapex or something that would switch out for its Regenerator recovery, for example. We have the option to be cheeky and throw up a sub and then just kind of fire off attacks from cover here. So that's the idea here. This team's definitely a little sketchy. I don't have huge confidence in my ability to like automatically win. Like obviously you don't automatically win anything anyways, but this will be a tough fight. Rashe's really gonna bring it to us, I bet. That's all there is to say. Our match time is quickly approaching, so I'm going to cut the recording here, and we'll be back in a second with the fight. Alrighty, so here we go with the actual battle. Let me just click over to the appropriate screen here. Alrighty, so it looks like our opponent brought... They did bring the Shedinja. Crazy. Okay, see, I feel better about actually preparing for it now. They also brought the Hydreigon, so I feel better about my decision to bring Weavile. So in addition to those two, they have Buzzwole, Clefable, Skarmory, and Toxapex here. Okay, so what do we lead with? They don't have Blissey, which actually makes me a little bit happy. Blissey had the potential to be a huge pain in the butt. That also means I don't think I have to worry so much about, like, reflect counter shenanigans from something like that. So what I do immediately notice, though, is that rocks aren't super important in this matchup, so I'm not going to try and preserve Azelf super strongly. I still do want to get them up for Shedinja here, but I think I'm just going to play it safe and lead Azelf here. Versus Skarmory. Okay. See, do I predict the... So here my opponent knows that I like to run Taunt on Azelf. If he's been paying any attention, he's been watching every battle every week on his YouTube channel, so presumably has been. Taunt is a really obvious move here. But especially with Weavile, I don't necessarily want to take any extra damage here if I don't have to. But I do want to get Stealth Rocks up. I think I'm going to predict... I don't know. My opponent could just go for like a U-turn or something. I think Skarmory gets that, I don't know for sure. Taunter Stealth Rock, Taunter Stealth Rock. Like worst case scenarios, he gets Stealth Rock up and I just can't remove them now. Nothing on my team's super weak to it except Weavile though. So maybe that would be okay. I think we're gonna go for the Stealth Rock, predicting him to predict the taunt. And my opponent did just go for an attack. Fantastic. Okay. So we have our rocks up. Now we will go for the taunt here. And we took that Iron Head pretty well. It did about 30% to us, it looks like. And that's again because this week I did invest quite a bit in HP, since I'm counting on Azelf to hopefully have some staying power throughout the match. So it looks like my opponent's going to continue to just go for Iron Heads. I've knocked their passive recovery off in the form of leftovers there. So I do actually have to be a little bit careful here, just because Iron Head will do a decent amount of damage to something like Tapu Lele if I switch it in recklessly, for example. Yeah, so do I really want to take a... I really want to take a Iron Head on anything. Let me see how much Nidoking would take from one. Rashe's mantra of the season has been like, be responsible with your Pokemon. So I'm gonna try and take a page out of his book and see like I'm gonna run this calculation before I just switch it recklessly. Iron Head off of a defensive Skarmory does like 30%-ish. And I guess this is okay. I'm going to take a page out of Jack's book as well. Let's pull up our Weavile. This has been doing 27-ish%, so this does look like the set. It looks like just a defensive thing with Iron Head. So Nidoking will take about 30% too. I think we just go for it though. I'm going to U-turn into Nidoking here. And then I'm going to immediately just go risky, and we are going to go ahead and, gosh, can I afford to go risky though? I guess I can, right? Because worst case scenario, if they defog, like, we can just set rocks back up again later. I'm going to sub up here. Flamethrower should kill from this range, and my opponent probably knows that I'm packing it if I swapped in Nidoking. Unfortunately, since my opponent didn't bring Blissey, that does make the, It does make the superpower bearing a little less good, but if we're behind a substitute, we can challenge Hydreigon if my opponent opts to swap into that. Superpower will nail Hydreigon pretty good. That's what I mean to say. I'm curious. It looks like I have a Discord ping. Let me see if this is relevant. Okay, fantastic. We are going to get a sub up in front of Hydreigon, which is perfect. Okay, the Discord ping is irrelevant to this. So I don't have to think too hard about this. I don't even want to run the calc. I'm just going to see how much superpower will do. There's no reason not to click this. It's literally what we have it for in this particular version of this matchup. So my opponent's going to Earth Power us, that'll take down our sub. We see that it's Lore, but not Choice Band, but we're going to Superpower it to death, which is great. So that's first blood. Nidoking takes out Hydreigon. So that's the opponent's, by far their scariest offensive threat, I think. Obviously, we do still have to be careful about Buzzwole. And I guess especially if it's a Scarf Buzzwole, I don't know how common that is. Buzzwole is what, base 79 speed? So you do have to watch out for that, but I was admittedly pretty concerned about the Hydreigon. So now that's out of the way, which is fantastic. We'll take it, we'll take it. See, the thing that's unfortunate now, though, is that Superpower no longer has any utility in this matchup, and so now I do kind of wish that I had the Sludge Wave for Clefable, but it is what it is. And see, like, the thing here, too, is that now Superpower lowered our attack, which we don't care about because the rest of our moves are special, but it also lowered our defense. But again, like, the only physical attackers on this team, well, I guess there are three. Technically, Skarmory counts with Iron Head, but, like, I figured that Superpower is pretty safe to bring in this matchup just because my opponent's team is overall more about dealing passive damage than dealing active damage, so yeah, just like lowering my defense is whatever, basically. Here comes the Shedinja. Okay. So we see it not die, so I think that's the, oh, it has heavy duty boots? Okay, I'm not gonna play games. Ooh, does Shedinja get Shadow Sneak, though? I need to actually look this up really quick. Shadow Sneak probably does take us out. I didn't think about heavy duty boot Shedinja. Does get Shadow Sneak versus Nidoking at -1 defense. We'll do plenty. Well, let's see. 30 set, yeah. The Shadow Sneak does take us out here. How important is Nidoking actually, though? We have two Psychic types for the Toxapex, so I'm not really counting on its Earth Stab too much. What do we have for Skarmory? Ooh, we don't actually have a lot for Skarmory. I kind of want to save the Nidoking for that, then. Okay, so it wants to come in and take a Shadow Sneak instead. What wants to come in and take a Shadow Sneak instead? Not Medicham. How much does this do to Weavile? Like 12%. I guess the thing, though, is that if I overpredict and my opponent goes for anything that's not Shadow Sneak, then we can put ourselves in a pretty bad position. I think I actually go into Azelf and get a free switch out, right? Yeah, that seems to make the most amount of sense. Especially if this has heavy duty boots, we really don't need, we don't strictly need Rocks up for anything else, so Azelf's the safest play here. Okay, my opponent's gonna go for a Will-O-Wisp. That is a-okay with us. We absolutely do not need our attack stat here. So my opponent's presumably going to switch out here. I'm gonna go for the U-turn. I could go for the knockoff to try and KO, but that just seems overly risky at this point. Okay, so in comes Toxapex. We're gonna get a free switch into this. That's the safer play. Tapu Lele or Medicham are the two options that we have. I am actually curious to see how much Tapu Lele's HP Fire does to Skarmory. So let's take a look. See, HP Fire will do a little over half. How much does Skarmory have left? 79. But it'll come in on rocks. It'll do like some amount, not a quarter, but like 12%. Honestly, I like Tapu Lele here, just because then Shedinja literally can't do anything. If Psychic turns up, it can't come in and threaten Medicham. Well, okay. Actually, how much does this Shedinja realistically do to a full HP Medicham anyways, though? Medicham here. Shadow Sneak to, ooh, does quite a bit actually. Okay, yeah, we're going into the Lele here. We will say no to Shadow Sneaks. So what can my opponent realistically switch into here? Just going for a Psychic attack is definitely the play, right? I don't think there's any reason to go for anything else. Because especially with my Metronome, nothing can really take consecutive Psyshocks. So we're just gonna go for it. Let's see what my opponent wants to switch into. Shedinja, that's A-okay. I mean, it has to be Heavy Duty Boots, right? I think that the Sash breaks if it comes in on rocks. HP Fire should be safe? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I was like, please don't be wrong though, that would have been really sad. Okay, Tapu Lele takes out Shedinja. So that frees us up quite a bit. Okay, so Skarmory has 66% after coming in on rocks. HP Fire does not do enough. So we do have to switch out here into something. Honestly, if my opponent's just gonna go for a Defog, let's fish for the Defiant proc. My opponent's gonna go for Iron Head, that's fine. Honestly, I'm just gonna U-turn and see what my opponent wants to do. They're gonna just stay and keep going for Iron Heads. That's fine. We can just go into Azulf again. Oh, Roost. Alright. I guess let's go ahead and taunt here. I mean, it's just gonna Iron Head me anyways, but you know, this way we can predict what it's gonna do a little bit better. I think, okay, so Iron Head does about 30%, so that won't KO me, because does burn or leftovers activates and then burn? Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, if Skarmory's not at max HP with Sturdy intact, then I think Nidoking can just come in and polish it off. And Azulf served its purpose, more or less. I think I just go for knockoffs. We just want to break its HP. That almost did enough to KO me, darn it. Do I go for the U-turn here? Maybe I do. What does Rashe do in this scenario? If I'm just going for knockoffs, does he go for the KO? Yeah, actually knockoff's pretty safe, because even if he wants to switch into something else, getting rid of anything's item would be good. Okay, so Skarmory's gonna take out Azulf, that's A-okay. Azulf did its job, and now we get a free switch in. It's gotta be into Nidoking. And further, I'm not gonna play around, we are just going to go straight for the Flamethrower. I hope that this calculation was right. Flamethrower just kills, right? Yeah, it does like 99 to 118%. So we just click Flamethrower here 100% of the time. Nidoking will KO Skarmory. Now Nidoking isn't as important either. We mostly just really needed Nidoking to deal with the Skarmory since it has such high physical defense. At this point, I think that Well, we have a lot of stuff left, but between what we do have left, I think we're fine, honestly. I think I just click Earth Power here. Wow, that'll actually do enough to KO as well. I honestly wasn't expecting that to necessarily kill. I didn't run the calc, mind you, but I'm kind of surprised. Okay, Toxapex is down. Here comes the Clefable. By this point, I think my opponent has realized I don't have Sludge Wave. That's fine. That's a clean 2-hit KO there. I have lots of PP on this. I'm pretty much... I guess I'll go for Flamethrower just in case my opponent wants to switch into Buzzwole to take the resisted hit here. No, they're just gonna go for Wish Protects. That's fine. Earth Power. If my opponent goes for Wish here, then we're subbing up next turn. Oh, they're going for Calm Mind. Okay. That's still fine, because Clefable's slow. All my team is faster than it, and most of my team are physical hitters. Now the only thing here, my opponent knows that they take a hit. They've got to go for the KO, right? Either way, we're just going to go for Earth Power again. No reason not to. Oh, they're... Okay, that's cheeky. I'm subbing up this turn. If they're going for the Wish Protect, then we're going to get our free turret up, and we can just launch multiple... Darn it, my opponent called that perfectly. I expected the Wish Protect there, of course, and my opponent correctly went for the attack to break the sub, which is a-okay. Again, Earth Power, even with the +1 special defense, still does a pretty fat chunk. So no matter what, we'll leave the Clefable at, like, some decently low amount of HP there. Okay, so now it's got 2 Calm Minds up. It simply has to go for the KO here, though, right? It doesn't. Interesting. Well, eventually I'm gonna get a critical hit. I mean, I guess I should be looking at how much damage Mega Medicham actually does to this thing. I'm pretty sure it's a decent amount, though. Let's see, Clefable, this is a Calm Mind type set. That's regular Medicham. If we go up to Mega, it only does like 50%. But that's still fine. Because I have multiple attackers, so we can just like burn through it over the course of a couple people. As long as it's not at full HP. So this should be okay. And again, the other thing, so my opponent's playing a dangerous game here because we can potentially crit at almost any time. There's definitely a limit the amount that you can just sit here and set up in my face when the rest of my team is literally all physical attackers, you know? My opponent's attacking move is what? Moonblast? Yeah, it's literally just not worthwhile to try and make a predictive switch. Okay, now my opponent's gonna take me out here. They'll pick their 50% up. Okay, they're back up to 90 now. Again, I still think that that's just honestly a-okay. I'll run a few different calcs just to see what does the most damage. So, Medicham does like up to 50. Weavel's risky because it can miss with triple axle. Psychic Shock and Train does not a huge amount, but a decent amount. Zapdos. Zapdos does the most. Zapdos does like 63 to 74%, so I think that's our cleanup option. So I just have to pick something that won't mess up as far as getting Zapdos down, or getting it within Zapdos range. And I think the best option is probably Tapu Lele. especially since I have metronome. We'll go into Lele here. Let me jot down this KO. I forgot to Clefable. KOs. Nidoking. Alright, we'll put our metronome to work here. We have Psyshock just for especially defensive Pokemon like this. So we'll go ahead and just start firing these off. My opponent is going to try and stall out turns of Psychic Terrain here, which is fine. Even at plus a bunch, we can take a bunch of these hits pretty easily. My opponent's going to protect again. That's a-okay as well. Okay, here goes the stupid shenanigans. My opponent has to protect here to get HP back. Weavile's not particularly useful. But I'm not going to make a rash move. I'm not going to switch out like I did last week. We literally have the momentum. Let's just keep going for Psyshocks. Granted, I think that the Protects interrupt the metronome, actually. Because it does look like the metronome, or the Psyshocks are doing the same amount of damage each time, right? Yeah. Again, though, that's pretty much fine. Like, my opponent just wants to Wish Protect. Like, A, I will get them down below a certain amount of HP, and B, enough crits, or enough hits in a row will eventually lead to a crit. So they're still playing a wildly dangerous game here. Let's see, so Psyshock is doing like 30%. Here's where I go for Nature's Madness. We'll take the clean 50. It'll KO us, and now it's in Brave Bird range for Zapdos. Even if it protects this turn, it's still in pretty clean Brave Bird range. It doesn't have a Wish up, so it can only go back up to, like, not enough. I think this KOs. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so before I forget, Clefable takes out Tapu Lele. Zapdos G takes out Clefable. Now it is the final matchup. I guess now we see if this is Scarfed or not. It is not. Whew, that was a hard fought battle. Oh man. Oh, and Zapdos technically died too. Oops. Alright, absolutely fantastic game, my dude. That was intense. That Clefable, I mean, the thing with Clefable is that since my team is mostly physical attackers, it was never going to get the upper hand by Calm Mind boosting necessarily, but the Wish Protect shenanigans definitely had me a little nerve-wracking there a little bit. I told my opponent GG, he says GG back, looking forward to my commentary, very much so, look forward to yours as well, my dude. Alrighty, so that puts us at 4 wins and 1 loss at week 5, and that also puts our differential up at plus, I think, 13. Let me check that really quickly. Either way, getting a win this week was huge. It keeps us competitive for the top 1 or 2 seeds. Yeah, so this will put us at 4 and 1 plus 13. So we're looking good in the league still, looking good. Okay, and then let me just really quickly look forward to see who I am playing next week before I wrap things up here. Actually not next week. We have a break week in the middle of the season this year, so there's not a battle next week, but in 2 weeks from now, we're up against Jack of the Wenatchee Wobbuffets, who is the 3rd and final content creator of the league, and he's also a phenomenal competitor in the league, so that'll be a tough fight as well. As always, thank you everybody for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!